Suspense. Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Miss Lucille Ball and Mr. Desi Arnaz in The Red-Headed Woman, a suspense play produced and edited by William Spears.
Jensen Corporation. Hello?
Hello, Linda?
Yes. Oh, hello, Frank. Oh, look, darling, I thought I told you not to call
I know.
me.
I shouldn't call you at the office. I'm sorry, Redhead, but I had to talk to you. You see,
Oh, darling, you sound so grim. Is there anything wrong?
Oh, this is going to be tough, Linda, but you see, it's kind of hard to explain, but...
Well, go on, dear. You can tell me anything. You know that.
Oh, you're sure swell, Linda. That's why it's so hard to tell you.
Frank, you haven't committed a murder or anything, have you?
Oh, no, of course not.
Well, what is it then?
Linda, please, I tried to tell you last night. I know it's hard to justify, but...
But what? Frank, you've met someone else, is that it?
Yes, Linda. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's quite all right. Is she blonde or brunette?
Oh, honestly, honey, Linda, I couldn't help it. It was one of these things. It just happens. Sometimes things do.
Well, you don't have to explain, Frank. I'll send your ring back this afternoon. I hope it fits her. Good luck. Tears came, and then I tried to laugh it off. And then I felt myself getting good and mad. What a fool I'd been. For 2 years, my every thought, my every move had been patterned toward Frank's wishes and welfare. Other girls, the selfish type, were holding their men. It was... Well, I'd made up my mind that the future would be different. From that minute on, I'd think of myself first, last, and always. Suddenly, I wanted to get away, do things, have beautiful clothes, money, especially money. I suppose it's the kind of independence any woman wants to grab for in a moment like that, when she's found out you can't depend on a man.
Good morning, Linda.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Jensen.
Yes. Feeling all right?
Of course. Why shouldn't I?
Well, I don't know. You just seemed a little despondent.
No, I'm fine.
Good. Oh, will you put this away for me?
What? Payroll money? Well, it's only the 5th, isn't it?
I'm going to Florida for a couple of weeks, Linda.
Oh.
I drew the payroll money today because I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yes, doesn't it? I've been thinking about it for years. Say, why don't you take a few days off while I'm gone, Linda?
What? Oh.
Why don't you, Linda? It's a good idea. Certainly I won't be needing you.
Well, I could come in on the 14th and handle the payroll.
Oh, you needn't bother. I can get Walters.
Well, he's pretty busy, Mr. Jensen. I'll come back and handle it. I'll just be in the country somewhere close by. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Looking back, I suppose I thought of stealing the payroll right then. I must have, for a few minutes after Mr. Jensen left, I visualized how easy it would be. Only he and I had the combination to the safe. He'd be far away in Florida for 2 whole weeks. I could leave the next day. I could have at least 10 days before anyone could find out anything was wrong. I thought about Frank and that brush-off he'd given me. How easily I might forget him in new surroundings. Well, when I closed the office that evening, I took the envelope with $21,000 in bills and stuffed it into my handbag. Then, I don't know why, I took the gun Mr. Jensen always kept in the safe. Next morning, I left Kansas City and began driving west. By the next afternoon, I was well into Texas on the inland route. I knew vaguely that I had to get across the border, but the actual fact that I was a criminal hadn't quite percolated yet. A few miles out of Big Spring, the weather changed, and dark gray clouds replaced the blue skies. Then I came to a roadblock, and I had to detour. It was a winding, makeshift road of dirt that stretched on and on for miles. I hated going so slow, but there wasn't anything I could do about it, so I switched on the radio and tried to feel comfortable and forget what I had done. Then a few drops of rain splashed against the windshield, and I hoped that I'd make the main highway before it really let loose. It was then that I heard the announcement.
This afternoon, in one of the most daring daylight holdups in Texas history, the 7th Bank of Abilene was robbed of $40,000. As far as is known, only 2 persons participated. A tall, dark-complexioned young man wearing a light gray suit and hat, and an attractive red-haired woman dressed in a green suit. In effecting their successful getaway, one of them shot and critically wounded an elderly bank guard, a veteran of World War I. The couple left in a green panel truck and are believed headed in the general direction of El Paso. More news after our next music.
Well, these were worse criminals than I was by far, and they'd made a getaway. I shut off the radio. To my right, black letters loomed suddenly against the yellow background of a sign. Midland, Odessa, Pecos. I slowed down to 30, rounding a series of blind curves. Coming around the last one, I saw a man standing in the middle of the road. I jammed down my brakes to keep from hitting him. He started walking toward me.
I'm very sorry to bother you this way, but my car is out of gas, and I was wondering, could you perhaps let me siphon a little from your tank?
Well, sorry, but I'm low myself.
Oh, please, don't be like that. I've been waiting here for hours. You're the first car I've seen. I would just take a little.
Well, I can't. Honestly, I...
All right. Then perhaps you would be so kind as to give me a little lift to the next gas station? Well... Oh, come on now. Don't you believe in the good neighbor policy?
Well, all right. Get in.
Thanks a lot. We'll find a gas station right on here someplace. I won't even take you out of your way.
Well, that's all right. I'm going in the general direction of
El Paso?
El Paso. It all came together suddenly. The radio announcement and this man who was just sitting down beside me. He fitted perfectly. Dark complexion, light gray suit. I glanced at the car parked by the side of the road. Yes, it was a green panel truck.
Well, senorita?
Look, I'm terribly sorry, but I don't think I can take you after all. You see,
Oh, now, please. I have been marooned here for 2 hours. It's very important that I get to Pecos in the next 2 hours.
Oh, and where are you going after that?
Me? I'm going to travel all over. After Pecos, I'm going to beat it down to Juarez. That's across the border. From there, we're going...
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Look, I would like to pay you for helping me.
He drew a sheaf of new bills from his pocket and dropped a fresh 20 into my lap. I opened my handbag and my fingers closed around Mr. Jensen's gun. He looked down at it.
Hey, what?
I said I've changed my mind.
Okay. That's the way you feel. I don't argue with a girl who's got a gun.
I didn't even wait for him to close the door. I let out the clutch, stepped on the gas, and got away fast. When I finally reached the highway, I speeded up still more. I'd had a bad scare. I wanted to talk to someone about anything and forget that man. Maybe that was why I was so relieved when I came to the little town of Pecos and saw the carnival a short distance ahead, and why I stopped to look at it. Even from the car, the bright lights and the people and the carousel, gaily painted horses going round and round made me feel less lonely. I wanted to get out and mingle with the people and drink some pink lemonades and buy a red candied apple. Go in one of the midway tents and see Tortoro, the sword swallower, and Lopez, the ventriloquist. But instead, I ate a hot dog in the car and bought a silver ashtray from a little Indian girl. And a sudden burst of thunder reminded me of the approaching storm. I started the car and left the carnival behind me. Soon afterwards, it began to rain. Then a cloudburst hit. 15 minutes later, I spotted an auto court. As I came to a stop, a gray, mustached man in a rubber hat and raincoat came out to meet me.
Hello there.
Hello, how far to El Paso, please?
Not planning to go there tonight, are you?
Well,
you never make it. A lot of bad spots in the road. I know because in rainy nights I always pick up a lot of money pulling stall cars out of the mud.
Well, maybe I'd better spend the night here then, if you have a vacancy.
I got more vacancies than anything else. I'll fix you up with the best cabin on the place. I used to live in it myself. Come on, I'll show you. It's number 3.
Oh, it sounds fine. Do you mind if I use your phone first?
No, go ahead. There's a booth over there right next to the office.
Thank you.
I'll open your cabin door and leave the key on the dresser. You can put your car in the shed there.
I was going to phone the El Paso police and tell them where I'd last seen the man answering the description of the Abilene bank robber. I dialed and waited for her to answer.
Operator?
And then I remembered something. There should have been a woman, too. A woman with red hair, but the man had been alone.
Operator?
After all, there was more than one green truck in the world. More than one dark young man.
Operator.
And besides, I thought with a shock, I'm in no position to risk their maybe tracing the call and finding out my name and investigating me. I hung up the receiver. I went out and wheedled a cup of coffee and a donut out of my host. And then I went up to my cabin and went to bed.